Do we have too much government?
We need to put people ahead of corporate profits.
This system is so lopsided.
This threat is a real threat to democracy.
And I think that's really important. That's something we haven't been doing in this country for a long time.
Where do you start? What do you do? How do you do it?
Access to Democracy and other Eagan community television programming is supported by Thomson Reuters, makers of Westlawn Next and based in Eagan. Through Westlawn Next and other innovative online services, Thomson Reuters is the world's leading source of intelligent information for businesses and professionals. Online at thomsonreuters.com. And by U.S. Federal Credit Union, the member-owned financial institution offering service, value, and experience you can trust to the greater Twin Cities community.
Welcome back to Access to Democracy, and Alan Miller, your host today. We are starting our 15th year, which is hard to believe, and we have a first-time guest. You know, I was listening to the introduction there, and people say to me often, "Are you from New York?" Well, where do you start? How do you do it? What do you do? And I realized that I still haven't shaken the New York accent. But Scott O'Malley does not have a New York accent. He is a caring soul, and welcome, first-time guest.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And tell us a little bit about Caring Souls. What is it? And we'll talk about your background after that.
Caring Souls is a service that provides services to people that are in need. So in particular, we try to offer our services to people who've gone through a health event, are maybe incapable of doing some of the things around the house that they normally would have been able to do. Someone who has gone through something that maybe changed the way that their everyday life was going and suddenly need a little extra assistance. And we use high school and college age students to perform those tasks on their behalf.
And those students are volunteer students, I understand?
The students are volunteers. You know, a lot of them come from the local high schools and colleges. Some of them have requirements for service work through their school. Some of them don't. They also get an electronic version of their service history that they can use to their benefit when they apply to college or in their postgraduate job search.
Now, this didn't just come out of thin air. Where did you get the inspiration for Caring Souls? How did you start it? And let's have a little bit of your background.
You know, the inspiration sort of was a sequence of events. I had an idea of starting this service company about a year ago. I couldn't really figure out what it meant or what I was supposed to do with it. And then in May of last year, my then 10-year-old son came up and said, "Hey, Dad, I read this article with Mom about Blessings in a Backpack, and I want to do it." And Blessing in a Backpack is a program that provides backpacks to students on Fridays who may not have anything to eat for the weekend. So they take the backpack home, and then they drop it back off on Monday, and then it's filled and given to them the next week. And I said, well,
it's food for the weekend?
Food for the weekend. So it's 7 meals for 2 children for the weekend.
That's a great thing.
Absolutely.
I'm not familiar with that. And,
so I said, you know what, all right, I'll help you do it. And so we researched Blessings in a Backpack and found out that the entry level was 150 backpacks for a 3-year commitment. And I thought, well, he's 10. I'm not so sure that that's a workable arrangement. So we went out, he and I and his 2 brothers, and we raised some money from friends and family and people that they go to school with, and it was May, so we couldn't quite get it set up for that school year. But instead, we started to take care of 8 families that were in the neighborhood that needed help, and we delivered food to them every 2 weeks. And in the process of setting this up and getting it going, I found out that I really liked doing this kind of work. It was the last thing I thought about when I went to sleep at night. It was the first thing I thought about when I woke up in the morning. And I thought, well, if there's a way for me to find a way to make a living at some point and be able to give back and have children involved or students involved, that would be something that would be really fulfilling and rewarding for me. So I had lunch with a friend of mine who's in the nonprofit world, and he pointed out some of the holes that he thought were in the nonprofit
Steve
world.
Francisco, who was also handling a lot of our interviews, was in the nonprofit world for a long time. So I don't know if he mentioned that to you or not. But
He didn't, but I may try to get a word with him
yeah,
when we're done.
he is he's full of knowledge about the nonprofits.
Good. So we get the program going, and we ran that through the backpack program, or actually the food program, through last December. Along the way, last summer, I met with my friend that's in the nonprofit world, and he pointed out the holes. And a couple of weeks later, I had this idea that, you know, when people are going through a health event, their world gets turned upside down, and what was normal for them isn't normal anymore. For their friends and their loved ones, they have to step up now and try to help out with their already busy lives. So I thought that there was maybe a need out there that people could really use some help, particularly when going through health events, or at a point when they're just unable to maybe take care of some of the things around the house that they used to be able to take care of.
So let's step back to these 8 families in the neighborhood.
Right.
You found out that they were in need. What type of need? Food need or otherwise?
They were in food need, although there were other needs also, and that was part of the whole process. There were other needs, but these were mainly food needs, and we delivered the food every 2 weeks.
Where did you get the food?
We got it from Sam's Club, and then we applied because we are...
from donations that you received?
From the donations we received, we took the money, went to Sam's Club. We then applied for agency status with Second Harvest Heartland. Once we were given the agency status, we started to buy the food from Second Harvest. In December of last year, one of the moms of one of my son's classmates came up and said, "You know, I know what you're starting with Caring Souls. You've already got, we call the food program the Fabulous Friends Club." And she said, "Why don't you let me help with the Fabulous Friends Club, and then you can concentrate on Caring Souls." And so she basically took the program over. We still deliver food every 2 weeks to the 6 of the families that we started with, and then in February we started to deliver backpacks to 2 local schools that are within a couple miles of where we live. So there are 30 backpacks currently that go out every Friday.
Well, today being a Friday, that means 30 backpacks are going to go out to children who wouldn't necessarily have food for the weekend, and this guarantees that they will have food for the weekend.
Exactly.
They
were designated as being critical, meaning that that the school officials thought that there was a good chance that they didn't eat it all over the weekend, and so we packed the backpack. The school that my sons go to have jumped on board. We have to store the food there. They bring one class every week on Thursday down to pack the backpacks. Load them into the vehicles, and then a few of them go with their parents to deliver the backpacks to the 2 schools, which are only a couple of miles away. So you're really helping someone.
What area of Minnesota are we talking about?
In St. Paul. So it's the Linwood and Monroe schools in the West 7th area of St. Paul.
I hope when some of the legislators watch this show, and I know they do, that they will pay attention. People who vote against things that will help the needy, whether it's food stamps, whether it's certainly other necessities of life, have to realize that this is our backyard.
Yes.
These are our friends and our neighbors and really people in need, and it's amazing how you have started this. Now, give us a little bit of background about you. How did you get into this business?
You know, I graduated from college, and I took a sales job, and I ended up starting a company and running it for a while. But you know, if I think about volunteering and giving back, that really goes back to when I was a small child. My mom and dad started a party around Christmas time every year. We would go out and we would buy the gift that we wanted for Christmas, and we'd wrap it up, and then we'd take it down to the Guadalupe area project on the west side of St. Paul. And so that was sort of the beginning of sort of noticing that there are people in need and trying to do something about it. And you know, when that party was at my mom and dad's house, In 1995, my wife and I took over that party, and we have it at our house. In addition to that,
That's still ongoing?
still ongoing. Last year, I think we had about 100 children at our house, plus their parents. And if you're ever looking for a raucous party and a little bit of bedlam, you should stop by and join us.
And those children each get a gift?
So each of actually the people who come to the party bring a gift. And mostly now that they ask for gift cards and things, that because they're maybe not as inclined to want what we typically would think of as a Christmas gift of a toy or something like that. They're looking for sweatshirts and everyday needs of underwear and socks and shoes and things that they need every day. And
Necessaries.
necessaries,
Yeah.
right. And then in addition to that, we have a party that we throw as a family. The O'Malley family has done it since 2004. This year was down at the Macy's that's now closed in St. Paul. And we raise money and funds.
You jump over these things very quickly. The O'Malley Family Fund, where did that come from? How did that start?
What's called the Spirit of Sharing is the actual C3 name. It started with one of my sisters who came up with the idea that we should have sort of a soiree and a party where we'll get all of our friends and acquaintances and people we work with together and have a party and raise some money and then donate it to a local charity. And so that started in 2004, and we've had that party every year since. And this year, we used the proceeds, or some of the proceeds, from that fundraiser to buy the backpacks and get the funding necessary to feed the 30 children that get the backpacks now.
So the O'Malley family has been involved in giving for a long time, starting with the example that your parents set.
Yeah, I think that started in 1969, and it's been going ever since. And it really, part of the reason that I like the idea of Caring Souls and involving students is that I think that if you instill that idea of giving back, of kind of helping your neighbor, that it sticks with you. It gets in there and it doesn't go away, and you pay attention to opportunities to help someone else along the way.
And someone else who's being helped is somebody who is in need.
Absolutely.
Whether it's at home, and we'll talk more about Caring Souls in a minute. But I just saw a statistic that there are 20 individuals in this country who made, between them, $73 billion last year. 20 people. $73 billion would be enough to fund the Head Start program for every child under 5 in this country. There is, to me, a terrible disconnect, and it seems to be widening, between those in need and those in greed. And those in greed just get more and more and more. And how much is too much? As opposed to what you people have been doing, what you have discovered, and certainly the joy and satisfaction that you get out of it.
Well, I would agree. I don't think that we certainly didn't realize that there was a need as big as it was in our own neighborhood. You know, when I talked to my kids about hunger when we first started to put the program together, you know, hunger was in Africa, and hunger was in places other than our own backyard. And we contacted the school, and they came back that they had 40 people, 40 students originally that immediately needed help, and our idea was maybe 10 or 15 at the most. And I don't think that as we talk to people in our own neighborhood and the people that are now participating and helping us with the Fabulous Friends Club, there was no concept that there was a need in our own backyard as big as it was, and that we really need to kind of step up and start being neighborly and taking care of the people that are in our own backyards.
And so, moving back to the fund,
yes,
we have the O'Malley Family Fund, and your experience then going forward from that.
Well, we did the O'Malley Family Fund, and we've been doing that for a number of years. We have our what we call the O'Malley Kid Party, which is the one that we do around Christmas time, where all the people come over, and we take those gifts down to 2 places down on West 7th, and they give them to families in need there. And then we started the Fabulous Friends Club last May, and that's going now, and it's going strong. And the Nativity Parish in St. Paul has now agreed to take another 25 families. So next year, when school starts, we'll be taking care of 55 students at the Linwood Monroe schools that'll be able to take food home on the weekend and be able to eat. And then, you know, from there and from that experience of developing that Fabulous Friends Club idea, kind of came the Caring Souls venture.
And that started when, Caring Souls?
Well, it started to formulate in summer of last year, in July. It first was the idea of providing services to the people who need them. At the time, particularly, we were thinking about people who were either elderly or that had some sort of health event that changed their that changed the way that they lived or what was normal for their lives. A few weeks later, the idea of involving students to do the volunteer work came together. And so last fall I wrote a business plan and did projections and started to put the company together as if it was a for-profit business, even though it's a nonprofit. And then around December we decided this is a real business. There's a great need, and there's an ability to engage
Sadly,
students.
there's a great
Sadly,
need, but there is a great need, unfortunately.
And so in January I started to do it full-time. And I've got a lot of people that are helping out, and we've been doing all of the things that you need to do to get prepared. Helping people is not as easy as it would seem to be. There's a lot of liability and risk when you're
We have to talk about that, because you just don't go and hang out a sign. Do you have to get a license? Do you have to get authorized? Do you have to form a non-profit? Does the state get involved?
Well, you do have to form a nonprofit. For what we do, there's no specific license. You know, we offer just about any type of service. As we use volunteers, we're not sending students in to do, you know, plumbing work or electrical work, but you know, they certainly can take care of cutting the grass and cleaning gutters and helping.
But you have to have liability insurance for that,
and that's the hard part.
Expensive.
It's expensive, and they don't particularly like the idea of insuring a new nonprofit. They want you to get a little experience, but you can't get the experience without having the insurance.
Right.
And actually, just before I got into the car to come over here, we did get confirmation that the insurance is in place and that we have it. But it took a lot of steps to get there. You know, they want waivers, they want manuals, they want different things to limit their exposure. And so, what I would think would be a fairly easy and typical request to say, hey, look, somebody needs their grass cut because they're unable to do it, they're in recovery, or they just can't handle that, becomes much more complicated than what you would think it would be. You know, when I was a kid, you know, if something happened to someone in our neighborhood, we just took care of it. But it's a different world out there now. You don't know your neighbors as well as you used to.
You don't see the kids going around with shovels anymore,
You know.
and shoveling walks.
That's right.
You see the 4x4s with plows on the front of them. And I told you the experience that I had. Now, we have a steep and long driveway, and we were under contract to somebody, but he thought that the snow was over probably at the end of March. And we had several heavy snows after that. No truck.
That's right.
And I called, and I found that he's in Texas. He took off because he figured, oh, snow was over for the season, and he's in Texas. Well, that didn't do me any good. Fortunately, we live next to great neighbors, Mike and Deb Shannon, and Mike comes over with the snowblower and cleans us out. But otherwise, I might still be there. But literally, so you talk about caring souls, they're the caring neighbor, but it's the same thing. Now, what you're saying is if you got a phone call, and I assume that's how it operates, that somebody needs shoveling or somebody needs, you know, assistance in that regard, you would do it.
Yes, we would. We would certainly put the people together to make sure it happens. Caring Souls works as an electronic platform, and so we have volunteers that come in through our website and sign up, and they pick the tasks that they either have skills in or that they like, that they want to do, and then they do it by zip code. So we truly are, you know, helping your own neighborhood. So they pick the zip codes that they would be active in, the tasks that they're willing to do, and then on the other side, we have requesters, which are the people that have the need. Whether it's them calling us or going online, or some of the family member or a friend They go in, they fill out the information, they say, look, we could really use help with these tasks. They put the zip code down
you
in the
match them
address,
up.
and it's an electronic version of a matching system that matches them up.
Match.com. Well, not quite.
Maybe a little different, but the same idea. Excuse me. And then the students and the requester are matched up, and all of the students are then sent out either an email or a text that says, hey, there's an opportunity to for some of the things that you offered to volunteer in, and then they can just hit a button and it'll go in and it'll say that, okay, you're first, the job is yours. Someone else slots in behind them for a backup, and then everybody else gets a notification that that position has been filled, and they go back into the queue and wait for the next one.
Now, it costs substantial amount of money to set this up, notwithstanding that you have the background and the experience. And also, it requires funding. Where is this coming from?
Well, right now, for the most part, it's come from people that I know, people that understand what we're trying to do, see that there's a need, see that there's a benefit on two sides. You have the benefit that goes to the requester and the friends and family of the people who need the help, and then you have the benefit of the volunteer who gets exposed to charitable giving, gets exposed to helping other people. There is a benefit certainly to them that they can use later for applying to college and for postgraduate job search, but there's you know, it's really about doing the right thing.
There's
and
also
trying
a
to help
satisfaction benefit of helping
Absolutely.
somebody in need.
Yes.
Now, how is the O'Malley family living while they're doing all this volunteer work?
Well, you know, my wife has a very good job, and we've been, you know, trying to build this up and get it going. And right now, we're all volunteers. As we get the company really rolling, you know, we're going to offer our first week of services will be next week. And so as we get it going, we expect that as people hear about Caring Souls, understand what the mission is and what we're trying to accomplish, that we will get people to make donations. Certainly the requesters and the friends and family of some of those, if they can afford it, would make a donation. We've got a couple of different corporate sponsors that have stepped up to help us get it going. So, you know, we're in the process right now of sort of closing out that founding donor kind of group. And then we'll move into the next phase of the business, which is to launch it fully and get it integrated in the Twin Cities, with the idea of using the Twin Cities as the template, that once we make sure that we know what we're doing and that the electronic match is
You can see it
working.
expanding beyond the
Absolutely.
Twin Cities, absolutely.
We would love to take this to a nationwide program as quickly as we can.
Now, let's once again emphasize, if people want to contact Caring Souls, there are two ways to do it. One, the website.
Yeah, caringsouls.org. You can go on caringsouls.org and you can sign up to be a volunteer. You can make a request. You can make a donation. You can find out a little bit more about what we do. You can see pictures of some of the students that are doing some of the tasks and some of the people that are receiving some of the work.
And how fast can you respond to a request?
You know, depending on what the request is, you know, some of the probably what we would consider the base tasks, which are, you know, cutting grass and help with the lawn, cleaning some gutters, grocery delivery service, you know, help with meals, help with laundry, those types of things are easy. We've got, you know, a group of volunteers that are ready to go.
Walk the dog, for instance. Somebody
absolutely.
comes home from the hospital
Sure.
and they have a dog, or they have 2 dogs or something, and
So, you know, some of those requests are very easy. We have volunteers that are ready to go. Some of the more complicated ones, you know, if someone needs some sort of plumbing help, you know, we have a few plumbers that we interviewed and that we can make a recommendation to. But, you know, and we're expecting that and we're kind of hoping to get a request that we haven't thought of before. And we'd love to see what that challenge will present and how long will it take us to fulfill that request. So we're really willing to kind of take anything that someone throws at us.
and really just about anything will be put to good use in that regard.
It should be, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to handle and reduce the stress for people that are going through something that they need help with.
Well, we will mention once again the website caringsouls.org and urge our viewers to go on there. A wide range of assistance is available. home maintenance, upkeep, tending of pets, legal and accounting referrals. That's interesting also, especially as taxes come due and somebody is unable to do it. Transportation in and from appointments to the doctor, meal deliveries, grocery service, daycare. We hadn't mentioned that one. Help with the laundry. Really, so many things.
Right.
And it's in its infancy here. This is a chance for people to get in literally on the ground floor and do something that will be good for your conscience and not necessarily for your pocketbook. But sometimes the conscience is much more important than the pocketbook.
Absolutely.
And funding, availability, student volunteers, student volunteer exercise. Have you gone to any of the colleges about that?
We have. We've been to, had conversations, met with most of, we started with the private high schools because we could cover more zip codes with the private high school. They have students from everywhere. We've had great response from the private high schools. We have students that are currently helping Caring Souls get ready to launch. And
what about over the summer when the schools are not in session?
Well, because we already have them sort of in the queue and ready to go, we can handle requests during the summertime. And you know, if we get a request in let's say it's in a city that we don't have that particular request covered, we believe that we can make a couple of phone calls and get the request handled by either by neighbors, maybe their house of worship, or through our own students that are in that particular zip code. They may not want to do that task, but they may know somebody that can handle that that's a classmate of theirs. So we've been to the high schools, and then we've been to the colleges, and we've
Yeah, primarily in St. Paul at the moment.
We're starting in our own neighborhood. We'll take requests.
How about
anywhere in the Twin
cooperation
Cities.
from the city of St. Paul?
You know, we haven't really discussed much with the city of St. Paul yet. I think that there are a lot of different ideas that are being kind of floated about on how to engage them.
I think you should take the DVD of this program and send it right to Mayor Coleman and let him watch it, because I'm sure under his guidance we could help expand Caring Souls in that regard.
And that's what we'd love to do.
And he's been a guest on this show, as most politicians have,
Right.
and legislators. But it would be good to get some legislators involved also in your area.
Absolutely.
And they, again, from the minority leader of the House to the majority leader of the House, these are St. Paul people. Let's get them on board. They know people. They know where you can get some funding. They know who you can hit up, so to speak.
Right.
And certainly anything we can do to help also. It's just a great service that you're offering. It's a great idea. And it really just flies in the face of what we see with the attitude of people, for me, for me, for me. This is for thee, for thee, for thee. And I commend you.
Well, thank you.
I just think, I wish you good luck. Anything we can do to help you, we would be happy to. As I say, you're going to leave here with a DVD. Cut copies, put it up on your website, get it all around.
Sure.
And Caring Souls. The Toby book. It's
Toby
now
book.
available.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.